What's going on, everybody? It's me, Tim, and I'm going to talk about Cleanspark in this video. We do have some hash rate news. I'm also going to look at Cleanspark on the chart, and we're going to look at Bitcoin on the chart. It just recently hit a new high that we haven't seen in over a year. So let's get into this. If you like these videos, you know what to do. Also consider checking out the links down below. You can get some free stocks and cryptos by signing up to the links. Now let's take a look at Cleanspark stock. Now I'll leave their investor relations page down below for you, and that's where you can find this press release. And this came out yesterday, July 13th, and we have news that Cleanspark's Bitcoin production achieved 8 exahash as their $55 million expansion goes live. And they announced that phase 2 of its mining campus in Georgia, Washington, Georgia, is now live. The site is expected to increase the company's Bitcoin mining power, or hash rate, by 1.8 exahash per second to 8.5 exahash, or over half of its 16 exahash target by year end. So looking at this a little deeper, they have about 10,500 machines in operation at that facility, meaning they have about another 4,500 to bring online. And they grew this facility from a 36 megawatt campus to now 50 megawatts, and they purchased this facility back in August of 2022 for $25.1 million, including the machines. And they invested about $55 million on phase 2, which was construction, infrastructure, and machines, which is expected to increase the total power capacity to 86 megawatts. And keep in mind that this facility was already 100% funded. This over $100 million has already been paid for. And we have some words from the CEO, Zach Bradford. The speed with which our team has successfully executed this expansion testifies to the technical expertise and experience that we have gained since we transitioned from an energy company to a Bitcoin mining company. But it couldn't have been possible without local contractors and the Washington, Georgia community, who have been supportive partners of our efforts to generate sustainable economic growth in the area. This expansion has already helped us get more than halfway to our year-end guidance of 16 exahash per second. And we've gone over this previously, but for those of you that don't know, they had a recent acquisition last month, and this was for 2 sites in Dalton, Georgia, for a $9.3 million all-cash deal. And these were turnkey mining campuses, meaning they are ready. They are energized. But let me know what you guys think about this news. I believe that our July update is going to be massive, and it is right before earnings, which comes out around the beginning of August. So we'll get our July update somewhere around the 5th of August, and we'll get our earnings soon after that. And if you're curious on my thoughts on the revenue side of earnings, I'll leave a link below, or I'll leave a link at the end screen kind of going over what we expect for their revenue. I am currently thinking that when earnings comes out, we will have a buying opportunity because I do expect there to be a revenue miss. But one thing to consider is their July mining update could be massive. It could be very, very positive, and it could just rally regardless of how earnings comes out, knowing that next earnings, which starts in July, is already off to a great start. And also, of course, Bitcoin just recently hit a new high, and throughout the rest of July, it may very well stay over 30,000, which will help Cleanspark from a revenue perspective. And speaking of Bitcoin, we do have some recent news that affects the whole crypto industry, and this is the Ripple case. But if you guys want me to cover more breaking Bitcoin news, let me know in the comments below, and I'll try to cover news right when it drops. But next up, let's take a look at Bitcoin and Cleanspark on the chart. And first off, looking at Bitcoin, it nearly hit 32,000. Right now, it's just kind of range bound. It's trading in this bull flag. I think a break out of this can bring us to our next resistance right around 32,500. And this was a level that was resistance as we were dropping in 2022. Back in June of 2022, we had a huge drop, tried to recover, and it found resistance right at about 32,500. What I want to see is a little more consolidation, a tightening up of this pattern towards the top side of this channel so that we can actually break out, and we can break out of this 32,500 as well. If we just start going up from here, the RSI will quickly become overbought. It is more towards the overbought side than the neutral side. So what I would really want to see is just a little more sideways action. Let that RSI reset before we break out so that we can actually get a nice breakout that continues, not a rejection at 32,500. But I do think this 32,500 is a key level for Bitcoin. And if we can break that without becoming too overbought on the RSI, that'll give us what we need for that breakout to be maintained, and then a test of that breakout as a support. But Bitcoin to me is still looking great. It's still very bullish. We just recently created a new high. New highs usually bring more new highs, just as new lows typically bring new lows. We are looking at a bullish moving average with them both pointing upwards. We recently saw a golden cross. The 200 MA was tested, and we found great support there. And then back in May, when the 50 moving average was tested, we did break it, found resistance on it for a short while, and then we actually broke out of it very nicely. I do think if Bitcoin pulls a bit, we are going to see a retest of this 50 moving average, which will be sitting right around 29,000. If we do break that, then we're going to test our 200 moving average, which is also the support on this channel here that we've been in, and that would be right around 27,000. So if Bitcoin pulls down to 29, if it pulls down to 27, I think that's a fantastic buying opportunity as we get closer and closer to the halving. And if Bitcoin does pull back, that could create a great buying opportunity for Cleanspark. It has been going absolutely crazy recently. We finally broke out of that infamous 520 level. We also broke out of this tightening pattern. I think I have a little too much going on. This yellow pattern here that was tightening, we saw a break out of this and a continuation, and even a break out of a previous resistance back in August of 2022, which sits right around 670. And I personally think if we do continue pulling back, we might see a bounce right around 670. If we break that, we are going to be testing this previous resistance as support, which sits right around 6. Sorry guys, I just had to change my battery on my camera. So looking back at Cleanspark, you know, we became quite overbought. We were getting indication that it is time to sell, time to take some profits, look for a pullback, and we are starting to see that a bit. But Cleanspark on the chart also looks very bullish. We are at levels that we haven't seen in over a year. The moving averages are now bullish. We have them pointing up. We are in the right direction with the 50 above the 200. We saw our golden cross back in May of 2023, and the EMAs are also bullish as well. They're all pointing up and they are in a bullish sequence. We are blasting off. We are quite a ways from these EMAs. I do expect a little bit of a pullback at least. I still think $5 is certainly possible to see. A break of $6 can definitely bring us into the fives, maybe even to 520. And so if you're really looking to get into Cleanspark, I would probably wait a couple days, let this continue to cool off, and then get ready for that next bounce. And if you're really worried about missing out, you could always just DCA where it's currently at and just schedule your buys once a week, once a month, whatever you want. But thanks for watching, guys. Where do you think Cleanspark is going in the short to mid term? And where do you think Bitcoin's going to go? And also, how do you feel about earnings coming up? Keep in mind that July is not included in this upcoming earnings. And also, what kind of numbers do you expect for their Bitcoin mining update? Thanks as always for watching, guys, and I'll see you later. Have a good weekend.